Okay. So today we'll continue to build what we are doing to build yesterday's graphs. I want to draw some basic graphs. Once we are done, okay, um, then we'll focus on developing marks. Okay. So we have not seen much of marks. So we'll focus on developing marks card. Okay. Which anyway we are touching now. Now also we are touching. Okay. And we have already seen bubble chart and scatter plot. Okay. Um, you know how to change the uh, the okay. Yeah. So maybe we'll try to use some animation. Okay. Next is we'll add some animation to our graph. Okay. Animation. Then after that we'll do maps. Okay. We'll take one example to see how to draw map. Meanwhile, idea is by this time we'll be using almost all the plots. Okay, bar graph, line graph, histogram, and all those things would be used by now. Once we do, okay, I want to talk about how to organize and simplify. Okay, um, so we're talking more from um, here we say hierarchies. Okay, so build hierarchies. Okay, I hope I got the spelling right. Okay, so we'll see how to build hierarchies. Okay, um, so with that, I think we would be done. Okay, um, yes. So with that, we would be done with the basic of visualization. Okay, so this is the plan that we'll have for next 2-3 days. So hopefully if I can finish off in next 3 or 4 days, we'll be done with Tableau. Okay. Any questions so far on this? Okay. And then I'll talk about the certifications that you can do and certifications in Tableau. If you are interested, you can do that. We'll talk about it. What are the different certifications? Okay. Um, so this is what we'll do for next few days. I'm going to save it here. I'm going to say Tableau plan for next few days. Okay. Okay. So now we switch back to our Tableau. So this is what we had created yesterday, right? So let's go back. Okay. So this was median and average change, right? Okay. Now if I okay, I'm going to do this here. Okay. Now here you want label. Okay. So this is median, right? Uh, Median and okay, marks to label all or okay, min max or you know, you can say okay. So if you click on all, so problem with labels is it will overlap, right? Um, so because the data, so many data, okay, it will overlap. So you want it to be overlap, right? So instead, what we'll do is we'll say only min max. Okay. So min max is also creating problem, isn't it? Okay, so I'm going to remove this overlap thing. Label maximum value only, right? Or label minimum values only, right? So you can choose what you want to do. Filled, okay. You can talk about average change, okay, or you talk about median change, or you talk about.
Swapnil, you are not audible.
I'm not audible. Hello,
Hello?
hello, hello,
Hello?
hello, hello. So I was talking about adding labels to your plot, right? So you can choose how to add and things like that. Okay. Um, so okay. This is your average change. Click on average change. Okay. You have colors and things like that. So let me remove the label. Okay. I don't want to do the label also because sometimes label can create problem, right? You see that when you have big data, it can overlap, right? But you can always have a rough idea about how the things are. Okay. Um, these are the values when you do min max, right? So pane you want to do or cell or table, right? And you want to have overlap marks or just min and max label. So you can select from this. You can even select the font. Like say font is too big, you can reduce it to 8, right? So these are the possibilities that you have. Okay, now you see the labels have become smaller. And another problem is we have two labels on one graph, right? So now this is only for average. If you do for median, it's again going to create problem for us. So better not use it. But yeah, of course you can use it. Okay. So I think this was done, right? And then when we were to sheet 2, we're talking about the histogram, right? And histogram also we had completed. Then we're working on the box plot. This was our box plot. Now, this is based on year. Annually, what was your change here? So box plot tells you the change in terms of annual, right? So obviously this was much higher in 13, but rest of the year is very closer to 0, right? Values are very closer to 0. Um, this is some change you can talk about attribute change, right? So, okay, measure, let's say we go to uh, standard deviation. So this is talking about the standard deviation. Okay. Standard deviation is another important uh, um, metric that we spoke about. Okay. What is standard deviation? That was a question. What is standard deviation? Standard deviation talks okay, about how much are you deviating from the expected value. So if you had a average value, okay, how do you, okay, or how much deviation are you having? So when you say standard deviation is less, that means most of the time you're getting values closer to, you're getting most of the time values closer to the mean or the expected value. Okay. But if you are not, if your deviation is high, that means you are not getting value closer to mean. That's what it, okay. That's what it means. Okay. Um, so, okay, so box plot in this case may not be a right plot. Okay. What I'll do is, let's try to Okay, change the type. Okay, so I'm going to go to show me. Okay, and let's see different graph here. This is highlight, pie chart. Okay, these are all circle views. This is dual line. Okay, dual bar graph. Okay, so I'm just thinking. Okay, deviation from will range between plus and minus, right? Sometimes we'll go to plus and minus. So if we can have something like line graph, okay, and that to continuous line graph would make more sense. So let me select line graph. Okay, so this is line graph, and this one I want it to be continuous line graph, right? So automatic, okay, and this is for annual year. So we'll change it to month, let's say quarter, month. Okay, so for month, the difference is probably not much. You see, it is almost zero for month. Okay, so I have the month here. Okay, let me go to week. Yeah, so obviously. Okay, so this is the total standard deviation um for entire like last 10 years. Okay, and if I go and keep adding, okay, here, okay, I'll format, remove, and I bring the date. Okay, so this is for year. If I do for month, so what you see here is discrete line. Okay, for quarter. Okay, if I do it, okay, or I come here and I say quarter here. Okay, so this is for population. Okay, now I go and okay, and mark level trend lines, forecast. Wait, okay, it is continuous only. Okay, fine. So, so you see, this is deviation per quarter, right? And per month, it is almost close to zero. It is possible, okay, because this is bond, right? In bond, you don't have much change per month, per day. It is very stable. So that's why you don't see. But when we do cryptograph, cryptocurrency will see, okay, you will actually be able to see how it is done, right? Um, Now, if you want to add a reference line, okay, so I'm still not happy with this. Okay, one second. I'll say remove. Order. So this value is also um, okay. Um, this is also continuous. This is also continuous. If both are continuous, this line should appear continuous. Okay. So now let's try to add the reference line. Okay. Um, so I'm going to say here, right click, mark label, annotate, forecast, drop. Now see, if you want to forecast, right, you click on show forecast. It'll add one extra year here, right? And this is saying this is the forecast for 2023. Okay. No, we don't have to remember any formula. You just say it'll give you the estimate. It'll give you the forecast. So you see, the dark one is the actual, and this is the forecast. This is the range basically. It's suggesting us the range how much you can forecast. Okay. So of course you want to remove it, so you can remove this from now. Okay. And I'm going to right click on it and say, okay, forecast remove. So forecast is removed. So if I go here and I say, okay, okay, so we'll click on filter, right? Now filter, if you do not want to show all the data, okay, so this is range of values. So by default, it has selected 0 because the, the deviation is not below 0. It is always positive. So that's why it is showing 0 to 0.265. So this is fine. We are okay with it. Okay. All values in database. Let's see this, what happens. No impact because we have anyway selected all value only, right? We have selected for entire data. So there is nothing else more to be added here. Okay. So now if I add here, so see here reference line, right? So reference line added is respect to the x-axis. Okay. So we click on x-axis and you say add reference line. Okay, it has opened up here. So you want band or you want line? We want only line. Okay, and we'll leave everything by default. Okay, so we'll say okay. So this is the reference line with respect to each year. Now if you want to do reference line on the standard deviation, so you do right click here and say reference line. Okay, and this is the average, okay, for each quarter here. Okay, so I think probably this is much better than this. So I go here and I remove the reference line. So this reference line has gone. So this is the reference line here. Now if I, okay, this is obviously discrete. This is not what we want. We want continuous only. Okay, so okay. So see, because of 1 year, right? The data is so this thing skewed, but it's okay. So its average is here. Okay, but then for rest of the year, the average is this. So you have average line for each year, right? So this is 4 quarter average line for this year, right? So we have added standard deviation. We have added the reference line. What else do we need to do? This is fine, correct? So we are handling standard deviation. We have handled histogram. We have handled the mean and median. Now let's try to add one more thing here. We will see the what more you want to add? Which plot you want to add? let's say stacked bar. Okay, stacked bar, and in stacked bar we'll talk about uh, uh, low and high. Okay, what is low and high for the each day? So I'm going to add the date here in the column, and we'll add high and we'll add low. Okay, two graphs. We'll make it stacked bar chart. Okay, stacked bar chart, and we'll say date here by year. Okay, now if you want to do it for quarter, you get for quarter. And how to do that? We right click and say dual axis, right? Here we'll say dual axis. So got combined here. Now this is for quarter, and if I expand, this becomes for each month. Okay, so each month, this is the difference between high and the low. So the difference is so less, right? So this shows you the difference between high and the low. And I want this one to be the first sheet, let's say. So I can drag and drop it here. This becomes the first sheet. Okay. So we have seen high low. What else you want to draw? Okay. So this is mean median. This is histogram, the returns that you are getting, and this is your standard deviation change. Okay. I want to draw five. Okay. So one more thing we can select. So we don't have much here, right? High, low, and change. Okay, let's talk about volume. Let's go back here. We have not included volume, right? So let's talk about volume here. Uh, okay, I'm going to say, oops, sorry. Show hidden fields. Where is our hidden field? Bin, this is change, low. Where is volume? Oh, yeah, this does not have volume. Sorry. This doesn't have volume. Volume is in other this thing. So, so yeah, here we cannot perform volume. In another one, maybe we'll see volume depending upon the month. Okay. We can have some kind of correlation here. Okay. So let's try to build some kind of correlation. We will have correlation, let's say, between high. So on x-axis, we'll put high. Okay. And on y-axis, we'll put change. Okay. So, but which plot should we try? Should we try? So how do you draw the scatter plot, right? To show the correlation, we use scatter plot, right? And what is scatter plot here? How to draw scatter plot? So this is our, right? Uh, we will take y. High is not going. Okay. Okay. Something went wrong here. See, all the data is gone. What happened? Let's go back and say, what happened? We didn't do anything here, right? We change the data? No, it's the same data. Suddenly everything is becoming blank, okay? Let me close it and open it again. Values became null, right? It's also sometimes happens because of internet connectivity. It is not able to read the data. Okay, so whatever we did, we got changed. So what was the thing here we did? We did date and we did standard deviation here, right? We added change or high. Let's put high, okay? And then we'll say measure standard deviation. How high changed, and we'll have a line graph, right? So we have a line graph and we'll expand it to month, okay? So month standard deviation is 0, so we'll remove month, we'll stop near quartile, and we say that in quarter it has to be continuous, okay, and this also has to be continuous, okay. So this is how this changes, and now we added a reference line, right? So reference line, we will put everything for the entire table, okay. Let's put for the entire table, okay. Value or per pane, right? Okay, so this is your reference line, okay. This is the reference line, okay. So we have got standard deviation also, right? So I'm going to save it, okay. Now what we said was, it's saving. We wanted to add low versus high, right? So let's create another view, and we wanted it to be the first, right? Okay, let's first add. So I'm going to add high and low, correct? And we wanted to create the stacked bar chart. So select bar chart, okay. Uh, we wanted date as well, right? So we wanted date here and okay, here, and instead of this we wanted annual. So this is what we got per month, right? Are we looking at the right data? No, we should be looking at the date UK that we created, right? Not this date. Okay, date UK. Okay, because this was the one that we created correctly, right? So you have month, and then we go back here and we say dual axis, right? So now you got dual axis. So we see the difference between high and low for each axis. Okay, sure, Anisha, no problem. So now we can move this to the first position, and I'm going to save it. So these are the two things that we have done so far. And in the last sheet, okay, the fifth one, let's let it get saved. Okay, so coming back here, in the fifth one, we wanted which graph we said? Uh, okay, so this is so we wanted high versus low. Can we can we compare high and low? Okay, and we said we wanted to have scatter plot, right? So this is the entire sum, correct? So if you do entire sum, you will get it here. Now do we want to do it? So we'll bring the date UK here. Okay. Now you see the relationship between high and low by date. This is almost related. Okay. So this is how you can plot high versus low. This is scatter plot. Okay, by date. So this is year. If you want to expand it, of course, by quarter. If you expand it, of course, by month. Okay. So by month, your scatter plot is getting plotted. Okay. So now I'll save it. Okay. So this is how we can plot all kinds of plot that we have. We have seen scatter plot, histogram, okay, box plot, line graph. Okay, we added reference line. Okay. So with that, we'll stop here today. Okay. And tomorrow what we'll do, we'll take maybe same and we'll keep on adding new things, right? We have to look at the map also. Okay. So we'll look at map. So this is called help.tableau.com. Okay. Mm, Tableau. Okay. Well, okay. Help.tableau.com. And here, okay. So directly in Google, we'll say help help.tableau.com and we'll say examples. Yeah, this is the one. Okay. So this is how you actually follow step by step. Okay. So, this is what I generally do to see news stories. So if you go here, you have first getting started. Okay. So this was the first day that we did. Then connect and prepare data. We connected to Excel and CSV, right? Now we're working with CSV. Then build chart. So far we have done all these things. Okay, we have to do map, but we are trying to build the okay. So we have to add web pages also. So this is what we have done so far. Then analyze data. Okay, it's forecast data we saw. Okay, this is more of data analysis kind of thing. Okay, so it tells you how to do the forecast, how to do the predictive modeling. Okay, and then create stories. Okay, so this tells you how to create a story. Okay, multiple. So see what story means is you're putting multiple sheets together. That's what it means. Okay, which tells you one single visualization. So you have multiple sheets talking about one single visualization. Okay, so we have seen how to add trend line also, right? Reference line, trend line, forecasting. Okay, so this is the entire thing. Okay, it's not very complex. Okay, um, so yeah, so the couple of things, image. Okay, image. I have not told you how to add image to your sheet. So you can even develop images uh, uh, to your uh, this thing. So to your Viz, and when you add images, you can even add URL to that. When somebody clicks on it, it will take to a different URL. Okay. So yeah, let me add images also. So I'll also add to our topic, add images. So build hierarchy, then add images. Okay. So this is what you should follow as a practice. Okay. And we have done almost everything what is given here. Okay. So first thing before you start doing it, you need to know which data and what visualization you want to do, what do you want to present. And then you go back to your Tableau and keep selecting those values and start presenting. Make sense? So with that, we kind of finished one story in a way, right? We wanted to see how bond markets behave. Actually, what is the uh, average return over last 10 years? Okay. So we'll stop here for today.